Okay, we meet again. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your lovely notes. It's a delight and an honor to be with you. Received a lovely testimonial of a viral act of kindness by email. The story goes that there's a hospital in Arkansas where people were coming to pray for the medical workers and patients, and they were sitting in the cars around the parking lot. Well, the hospital got wind of this, and they actually organized a separate section of the hospital parking lot where the people who wanted to pray came, and they're all sitting and praying for people in the hospital. It's lovely. And so the medical workers, as they're walking into the hospital from their cars, are passing through a field of people praying for them. It has to be empowering, doesn't it? So we can find creative ways to help each other, can't we? The best definition of an affirmation that I ever heard is this: the spirit within me loves to hear the truth about itself. Spirit within me loves to hear the truth about itself. Now, what does this mean? Well, a lot of people, when they think about affirmation, they think, well, let me just say something I want to believe, and I'll just pound it in like a sledgehammer, like a jackhammer, until I finally get it. I'll say it 1,000 times, and maybe I'll get it. Well, that's one way, but it's really the hard way. There's a lot easier way. So the idea about an affirmation is you're not trying to convince yourself of something that's not true. You're reminding yourself of what is true. So when you hear an affirmation or read one or say one, it resonates. And there's this principle called sympathetic vibrations, or some kind of resonance, where if you put a piano in one corner of the room and a guitar in the other, and you pluck the A string on the guitar, it would make the A string on the piano vibrate. It's called sympathetic vibrations. So when you think a thought that is empowering and uplifting, there's a voice deep inside you that goes, ooh, I like that. I've been waiting for her to remember that. And so you're basically setting up a field of resonance where you can be reminded of the truth you already know. That's what an affirmation is. So there's a lot of great affirmations. I'll say some of them, and hopefully they will stimulate something in you. All is well. All things are working together for good. Now, some of these may vibrate with you better, but hold on to those. I am healed, whole, and perfect. I told the story yesterday of the man who had been sick for 7 years with a supposed terminal illness. And he started to take the affirmation, I am healed, I am healed, I am healed. And eventually he got to the place where he was healed. A happy outcome to all things is sure. I rest in God. Some of these are from A Course in Miracles. I'm sustained by the love of God. Here's one for interpersonal relationships if you're having conflict with somebody. The God in me loves the God in you. The God in me loves the God in you. So a little personality is doing, but meanwhile, there's a deep God place in me that knows you and sees you and values you and loves you. And I know there's a place inside you that loves me as well. So when you say that affirmation, you're really dropping into the truth of what relationship is all about. The peace of God is shining in me now. Love is the only power. My peace I give to you. Your peace I now receive. I am bestowed with the riches of God. I am prosperous and abundant in every way. Affirmation we gave the other day. Every dollar I spend enriches the economy, blesses everyone it touches, and returns to me multiplied. All that God is, I am. Now those are good affirmations. If you want more, I posted at the beginning of the chat, 3 of my favorite affirmation creators and teachers are Louise Hay, Joseph Murphy, and Florence Scovel Shinn. Go to YouTube. There's a lot of a lot of Joseph Murphy YouTubes where he's speaking, giving affirmations. He's really, really, really good. Florence Scovel-Shinn is an old-timer who just nailed it. She was just a very beautiful, practical, down-to-earth woman. So go to those resources. Now, it's not exactly that simple, because when you say an affirmation, if there's a part of your mind that is resisting it, it will come up. There's something about the ego that is really, really, really scared of truth. And love is the most threatening thing to the ego's world because it is built on fear. And when love shows up, it resists it like crazy. So don't be surprised if you sit down and say an affirmation, you say, all is well. All is not well. People have coronavirus. Life is good and I'm prosperous. Yeah, but you might not have your job tomorrow. The God in me loves the God in you. Yeah, but you did that to me and I did that to you and I don't think it's going to work out. So you have to deal with this other voice. Now, in psychobiological terms, this is called an extinction burst. Now, we talk about this in my life coach training. So if you're training a dog and the dog is used to getting a treat every time it whines, and then you refuse to give the treat, the dog's whining will increase exponentially. And it's trying to get the thing that it can't get anymore. And this is called an extinction burst because the old behavior that is not healthy, if your dog's getting too many treats, the old behavior that's not healthy is being extinguished, and there's a part of that dog that says, I'm not going to let this go. People too. People stay in dysfunctional situations, and then you're presented with a functional alternative, and the dysfunctional voice says, stay in the old because it's known and familiar. The known and familiar is always better than the new and unknown because at least the known is controllable. The known may suck, but at least it's known and controllable. So when this dog starts whining, if he could just hang in there and refuse to give it any more treats, eventually the old negative behavior the dog will figure out, I'm not getting more treats at the moment, and it will give up. Now, it's the same thing with the negative part of your mind. As you are dropping into your affirmation, that old negative mind will go, booga, booga, booga. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm going to move ahead anyway. And my teacher, Hilda Charlton, used to say, the dogs bark and the caravan moves on. I love that image. The dogs bark and the caravan moves on. So you see all these old barking dogs, blah, 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 blah. But the caravan is bigger than the dogs. The caravan's moving on. And so you just hold firm, saying, I'm going to stick with this affirmation. You can rant and rave if you want, ego. That's just fine. But I'm going to affirm this. I want to know that all is well. I want to step into the dimension where all is well. Because when I know that all is well, I have a position to help those who think that it's not well. There's a famous yogi named Nisargadatta. He was a non-dualist teacher. And he used to say, in my world, all is well. In my world, all is well. Now, this guy was living in the back streets of Mumbai with a lot of poverty around him. And, there was squalor. And yet he lived in a consciousness of wellness. He chose to step into a reality of wholeness. And from that place of wholeness, he could help people who came to him. But if he was wallowing and thought, my God, my world is not well, how's he going to help anybody? So you have to establish yourself in an affirmative universe, an affirmative experience, before you can help other people find their affirmative experience. Now, if you don't believe in affirmations, the entire marketing and advertising world forever has used affirmations. You deserve a break today. L'Oreal says because you deserve it. Just do it. You go to Lowe's hardware store. Never stop improving. You go to Home Depot. We can do it. Let's do this. It's printed on their little buckets. And so the entire marketing world is based on wedging their product into your subconscious, so you actually believe that when you go to McDonald's, you'll have a break today. That's another lecture. But for now, we want to recognize that smart people use affirmations to work into their subconscious to create an experience that runs deeper and more powerfully and more extensively and with much more longevity than the conscious alone can create. So you are being affirmed by companies all day long. Every time you see a slogan or a tagline, they are cramming their affirmation into your subconscious. But so what you want to do is cram your own affirmation. I don't like the word cram, but you get the idea. You want to insert and invest your own affirmation in your own subconscious so you can create the experience you choose for yourself, which is health and love and prosperity and well-being and all the good things, rather than the affirmations that external forces would choose for you. And if you watch the news, they are affirming bad news pretty much all day long. They are cramming their affirmations, and no wonder you feel depressed. A friend of mine is a Native American descendant, and he said, I started off my week feeling fabulous, and then 3 days later I felt awful. And I said, why? He said, I don't know. I said, what have you been doing? He said, well, for a few nights there were a couple documentaries on how the Native Americans were decimated. He said, I've been watching them. Well, no wonder you feel awful. Now, I am the biggest proponent of Native American rights. I feel for Native Americans. I want them to win and have everything they need. But focusing on horror is not going to get you where you want to go. You want to focus on the positive vision of where you want to end up. Now, there's one more point. There is a metaphysical tool called denial. Now, denial has gotten a bad name because you're in denial about your alcoholism, which is a good tool to use. However, if somebody throws an affirmation at you that you do not want to accept, you have to counter it with a metaphysical denial. So somebody says to you, have you gotten the flu that's going around yet? No, I don't intend to. I feel pretty good. Coronavirus is a big problem. Yes, it is. But I am holding my space. A lot of people are suffering. Yes, they are. But I am choosing to be a force to alleviate that suffering. Money is scarce. Well, it's interesting because I really believe that I live in a prosperous universe, and I feel that I can manifest prosperity in a way that helps me and helps other people as well. So when somebody throws a negative affirmation at you, you have to counter. You don't have to say it to them directly, but you can say it in your mind. Somebody throws a poverty affirmation. Well, I choose to stay in my world of prosperity. That is my choice. I live in an abundant universe where God created everything in lavish abundance. And I am heir to it. I am a child of God that deserves everything God has. God wants me to prosper. God is sending money and resources and people and love my way. I live in a universe where everywhere I look, there is riches and fullness. I see beyond the appearance of lack. I see beyond the appearance of smallness. I am choosing to be a force for healing and prosperity and alignment on the planet Earth at this time. Woo! And so it is. And so you want to constantly be working with the statements you are feeding yourself. We can all do it. Course in Miracles says that only the thoughts I think with God are true. Don't you love that? Only the thoughts I think with. It's true. It says only the creations of light are real. So when you say an affirmation that affirms well-being and health and loving relationship and prosperity, you are actually thinking the thoughts of God, which are infinitely more powerful than fear and negation thoughts because they have no power whatsoever unless you indulge them. So when a God thought meets a fear thought, the God thought always wins. Fear knocked at the door, faith answered, and no one was there. We're all doing it. We'll keep doing it. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I love you very much. I appreciate your presence and your comments. Put some comments on the YouTube that's posted, and I will see you again tomorrow for another adventure in sanity. Love you lots.